Do you identify yourself as a Latina?
Yes, very much so.
Awesome. When and where were you born?
I was born in when and where? Okay, I was born here in Fort Worth in 1980, which shows my age, but that's beautiful. I'm having fun as a young professional.
Good. Have you ever lived anywhere else?
I have. I lived in Austin for almost 7 years.
What made you stay in Texas?
Lack of really. There's nothing that keeps me in Texas, and now I'm actually thinking about moving out of Texas. UT gave me the most money.
That's awesome.
So that's why I went to college at UT and fell in love and stayed on. And
stayed in here?
Then I came back home.
That's nice. Who were your parents and your siblings?
So my parents were Mary and Camilo Arizola. They both grew up on the north side of Fort Worth. And I have 2 older brothers, James and Silas, and an older sister, Myra, and I'm the baby.
Awesome. What did your parents do for a living?
So my father was a auto salesman, and he was a Marine. And my mother was a homemaker and a nurse.
Did you ever think you may want to do what they did when you were growing up?
No.
Nope.
No.
Never?
No. Always knew, like, my household was always, you're going to college. It was always, you're going to be a lawyer. That didn't happen, but I worked for a lot of attorneys, and I love them, but not for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you like the area in which you grew up?
I did. We bounced around all over Fort Worth. We first lived in Lake Worth. That's primarily where most of the Arizolas on my father's side of the family is. Then my mom was in Diamond Hill and like the Central Park area, North Side, and Fort Worth. And then we moved to South Side. We were the first family members to kind of move to the South Side, far away. But I liked it. I went to Rosemont. And I went to Wyatt, OD Wyatt.
Okay.
So that was fun.
Does your family still live in the area? Siblings too?
Yes. Everybody still lives in the area. Trying to think. Did anybody move?
Nope. Okay, tell me more about your siblings and growing up. Were you guys close? Mm-hmm. Did you guys take the same kind of career path, or was it
no, we didn't take the same career path. So like I said, I was the baby in the family, so I was a little spoiled sometimes. As my sister likes to tell me, not that I would say that I was. So let's see. Since they were a lot older than I am. My oldest brother and I are 19 years apart. My second brother and I are 12, and my sister and I are 7 years apart. So I was really the accident because they were not supposed to have kids after that. But it was good because I always had. Brothers, sisters taking care of me and always watching out for me. My father passed away when I was really young. I was 5 years old. And so my brothers, by default, kind of took on some of that because I was so little. And my mom was not always... She was a single mom at that point then. And, things happen. Depression sets in. Emotions happen. Life changes. Everything else, and so. But then my sister and I are really close. My sister and I still live together. So we don't always get along, but we do get along very well, and we live together, and so we just have that stronger bond.
So you said you and your sister still live together. Was she one of your role models? If so,
she's been my caretaker. She was more my mom than my mom, actually. The screen went like that, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So she was more my mom than anything else. She would be the one that would always be like, well, where are you going? When are you coming back? What's going on? When I was really little, she was 7 years old when I was born. So I, in effect, I really became her little doll. And she took care of me like one of her little, dolls and things like that until she, and everything else. So she's always been my caretaker and everything else. She unfortunately dropped out of school during her junior year in high school. And then when I started going to college, right before that, when I was in high school, she went back to get her GED and everything else. And then she did an associate's real estate degree. But I kind of learned from all of that. I was always the nerd. I was always the studier. I was always the one who liked school. I love to read. I love to, find things out. I still do. I'm a big nerd. And those kind of things. So not necessarily a role model, but my biggest caretaker and the person that I look to for anything that I need.
That's cool. Who are some of your other role models? Did you have anyone that was like, said you like to read, like an author or something like that you looked up to too?
I have so many. There's too many to count at this point. I've been very fortunate to create this group of women and men and mentors who've been able to help me in all facets of my career. And I'm involved with a lot of organizations. In high school, I found Hispanic Women's Network. Actually, I should say found me. And being able to go through their program, and they give me a scholarship to go to UT. And then while I was at UT, the chapter there was involved with my sorority. And so we did a joint project called Longhorn Leaders Day, which was a one-day college workshop where we brought high school and middle school students onto the UT campus so that they could learn about college, admissions, financial aid, and Hispanic Women's Network Austin chapter, and specifically a woman by the name of Terry Rabigo, who has since passed away. I miss her every day. She was one of my greatest mentors at that time, to be able to help me and kind of be a second mom. I never, that second person. I've had a lot of good role models. There was a couple librarians that I really got to know in middle school at Rosemont. Mrs. Tillman. And one of them actually made my graduation dress for me, my 8th grade graduation dress. She's so sweet. And then she would send me postcards from her travels in like London and Paris, because at that time I really wanted So at that time I really wanted to travel a lot because I was a big reader, and so I wanted to see the English countryside, and that's kind of what her lifelong dream was to do. So she'd send me postcards from their like trips and Scottworths and everything else. So the everyday people who've just kind of made contributions to my life and been some significant role models. Nora de Hoyos Comstock, who's founder of Las Comadres para las Americas, she's been a great person, role model for me to be able to see and forge ahead. And then all of these women, and especially lots of women here in Fort Worth. Rosa Navajar, actually, when I first came back to Fort Worth, she invited me back to the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce because they had given me a scholarship to also go to UT and to talk about my success there and to share that with their current scholarship students. And Rosa has been a great asset in my life. Eva Bonilla and community service and leading, and even my sorority sisters and the individuals who are founders not only at our chapter level but also in our national level. There's just amazing women who've been able to do so many different things. And then I also have a lot of mentors. Dan Mitchke is one of them, who's an attorney in Dallas, and he was really he's an active partner, but he also does a lot of community service in the schools. He took an active role on the communities in schools. He'd play Santa for Christmas to the little kids, and he always made sure that every one of them had a Christmas gift of some sort. So those kind of people who just do amazing things. They're the ones who.
Awesome. So you said you were involved with your sorority at UT. What other community organizations were important in your upbringing?
In my upbringing, I did a lot of volunteer work for various organizations. A lot of it through school. So I really didn't find my volunteerism until like middle school and high school. We did like the regular Meals on Wheels and working with student government and things like that. In college, it was mostly focused with the sorority because I chose a sorority. I was not your typical, that was not my idea going into UT, being like, okay, I'm going to be in a sorority. But my friend went to an informational, and then she was like, you need to come with me, we need to do this together. And then I went to a social and realized, this particular sorority that I'm in, Kappa Delta Chi, it's a non-traditional Latina service-based sorority. So we have strict, volunteer hours, study hours, and that's like a lot of sororities. So we were exposed to so many different community organizations in Austin at that time, that we were able to really make some impact, and that's where and the girls had already started the year before Longhorn Leaders Day. We were planning it, and I got on the planning committee, and that was our first inaugural, and it's so exciting to see that beginning stages that our leaders and myself and all of our sorority sisters started is still there today. It's just modified in different ways, but that's how time changes. So proud that they do. So lots of Hispanic Women's Network, Las Comadres are probably the top ones during my growing up years.
Awesome. So when you got to college, what did you choose to study?
So when I got to college, like I said, when I was little, I always thought I was going to be an attorney. So I decided to, and UT has a great political science department, which back then they called government. So I graduated with a government and Mexican American studies degree. They're both 2 full degrees. Not a minor, but I always knew that's what I wanted to do. The government part was something that I always wanted to do. It wasn't until UT and being involved in the sorority and then taking ethnic studies classes, Mexican American studies classes, that I was like, you know what, this is a cool major. I have enough credits that I went into UT as a sophomore. And so I was like, okay, I can still do another double major and graduate on time and everything else. So I did.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. TCC, which used to be TCJC, Grand County Junior College. I was in the dual enrollment program there with Odie Wyatt at the South Campus. Loved them because I was able to get so many credits at that time. Yeah.
Always helpful.
Always helpful.
Okay, on the religious side of things, describe your religious affliction in your youth.
Okay. So we grew up Baptist. I never knew that, and it was interesting until I went to college that I really got people really thought that I was Catholic. So it was really interesting in that way, that respect. So we grew up Baptist. So there's a great Baptist church on the north side called Primera Baptista. And so my grandmother and my Lita and my tia and my mom, and they all kind of grew up in that church. But they also, not necessarily that church, they grew up in La Loma, which was in Diamond Hill. And so we always had church. We always went. When my mom started getting sick and she couldn't take me or anything else when I was little, my tia, my aunt, would take me to church with her to Primera. And so we were very involved. So it was typical Baptist family. So you go to church is an all-day event. You go to Sunday school in the morning, then you get a service, then you go to lunch. We had a tradition, I love my tia. We had a tradition, we would go to Montgomery Ward's, or what we like to call Monkey Ward's, which is the Montgomery Ward's Plaza Center now. So that actually used to be a department store. And then we'd go eat something, or go to Dairy Queen, or, burger or something. Then we go back to church, and she had choir practice, and I would sit there, and then we'd have night service, and then she'd take me home. And then sometimes Wednesday nights would do the same thing, so would be at church all day. So religion was a very important part. If we didn't make it for church, and unfortunately when I stopped going to church because I started working and doing some other stuff, and just kind of faded along the way. But my mom always made sure if we didn't go to church then we were watching church on